Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipsters Chronicles. This is your host, Jamil Hassan, the Crypto Hipster, where from the period of time of March 2021 through June 2022, I interviewed 182 founders, executives, entrepreneurs, artists, and authors from over 50 different countries and built a global audience in 165 countries while posting and producing my podcast at the Irish Tech News platform. Since then, I realized there's a lot of incredible content in the interviews that I had, and my interviews with Thought Leadership podcast interviews that had amazing gems from all the guests that I was able to interview. And so I've chosen and decided to create the Crypto Hipsters Chronicles series, which is a series of the gems, the little tiny pieces from each of the interviews that I had in the areas of Bitcoin, Ethereum, metaverses, NFTs, regulatory issues in crypto globally, art, and you name it across the wide spectrum of different verticals in blockchain and crypto industry, and in fintech and mobility and sustainability as well. These are about 15 minutes long, each chronicle, and has 3, 4, or 5 different segments from different interviews. So I hope you enjoy them. I hope you have learned a lot. And if you'd like to listen to the full podcasts, they are available online at both the Irish Tech News and on Anchor. And in a future date will be available on the Crypto Hipsters station as well. So please enjoy and talk to you soon. Welcome to Crypto Hipsters Chronicles, episode 33, Discovering Your Inner NFT in Real Life and the Metaverse. This compilation of interviews includes 4 guests. First is Matt Street, who's a community advocate for Lucky Maneki. Second is Q Harrison Terry, who's the author of the NFT Handbook. Third is Steve Good, who is the founder of Dreams Quest. And fourth is photographer Peter Hurley, talking about his project Shabangers. Enjoy. So let me ask you, they have a location called Lucky, I can't know, Luckinia?
Yeah.
What's that? What makes that a magical place, and how does it look, in the future, in the long term?
Well, let me take you back even further than that. So, Luckinia was, kind of the made-up name initially of where our metaverse expansion, that world was going to be. It was going to be called Luckinia. But I think where you're going with this is, essentially the Lucky Maneki, the inspiration behind the project initially was around the Maneki Neko cat, which has origins in Japan. So the legend is that, a long time ago in a faraway land, there was this samurai who was on a journey and he was looking for shelter. So he went and sat down under a tree near a sacred temple. And as he's sitting, taking shelter, he sees a cat in the distance, and the cat appears to be beckoning to him to come over and visit with him at the sacred temple. So the samurai gets up and starts walking over, and as soon as he does, this bolt of lightning crashes down and boom, just obliterates the tree he was just sitting under. So he then thought this cat, his beckoning gesture was such good luck, and he turned out to be a wealthy individual, that he bestowed all this riches to the sacred temple. And that is how the legend of the Maneki Neko cat was created, and the inspiration for the whole Lucky Maneki NFT line. And as a community, we want to kind of push that message forward of luck and fortune and goodwill. And that's kind of the direction we're taking the project.
Great. So let's talk about at a higher level, metaverses to the extent that we can, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to be like a cool and fun place to hang out. People leave their job during the day, they're bored and they go online and they enter this tremendous metaverse where they can do anything they want, right? What's
Sure.
causing that? What's causing that interest? Like, what's driving that interest in the metaverses being such a popular place?
The metaverse, to me, it's like you said, it could be an escape. It's just like, people before were playing Atari and, Nintendo and Mario Brothers. It's the modern day version of that, except it's, where else could you go and, interact with people from around the world on more than just a, level like you would see on most social medias, where you can just click a like button or fire a comment. You can see gestures and motion and movement and really, get to know somebody, on a more personal level in the metaverse versus on some of the other outlets that have been available. I really think it's a positive thing that, the metaverse exists, and I think it's right now, it's a land grab. There's a lot of opportunity, and I think you should stake your flag if you can. Not financial advice, but I think there could be some big things on the horizon. Is my thought.
You mentioned the metaverse, right? What do you see as being possible that probably doesn't maybe not exist today in the metaverse?
I think the metaverse will allow for us to really challenge our visions of travel. So to date, like if you want to experience something entirely new with a new group of people, meet and exchange kind of ideas, you largely are limited to the zip code around you. So if you live in, a weird town in Wisconsin, right? Like, and there's maybe 3,700 people in your town. In order for you to get a diverse enough perspective that isn't, just your surroundings, you might have to travel, 45 miles out of your city just to get to a city that might only have, let's say 500,000 people, which is still relatively small in the grand scheme of things, right? And to you, of course, that's a large city. It's a big town, but there are Reddit communities or subreddits that have, 5 times that many people in it sharing thoughts and moderating and going crazy. And so when you start to think about that, how that traverses to the internet in the Web 2.0 era, we saw what digital communities literally could unleash and unveil in Facebook groups and Twitter exchanges, right? Like we saw what these massive thought leader led group discussions would bring and entail. But now you're not looking at a 2D paint, right? Like you're not looking at the Black Mirror, as they proverbially say. Hey, we're looking at the realization of like whatever the world is, you get to hang out there, you get to be there, you get to go and check it out. And I think what happens is you have like a concert that can now have 30 million people. That's absurd, right? Simultaneously experiencing it at the exact same time, like simultaneously casting or broadcasting thought, and you're able to participate at the source. That is in itself incredible. And then you look at the graphics and the resolution on a lot of these properties, like even looking at what Facebook's doing with the Quest. I was in an experience the other day, and I'm a big fan of Japan, and they had this experience where you could go to Shibuya, and I'm very familiar with Shibuya and what the city looks like. And I put the headset on, and it's photorealistic, almost to a 1-for-1 scale. Me going through Shibuya, I can't smell it, and obviously I can't feel the temperature. But those are values that I think will probably be alleviated or changed in the next 5-10 years, I imagine. But the whole point is because you can control the vision and what people see, and you control the audio experience, and you can control kind of the communicative experience, like the communication layer that is happening here. what's possible, we haven't really even begun to explore and really unlift. I think we're still at that point where we haven't had the iPhone moment in VR, where enough people have the tools so that developers can kind of start to build and lift up the experiences. Now, I know a lot of VR headsets have been sold. There's still just a lot of nuance into getting a base level experience, right? Like there's still people accessing VR through their phone. And I don't think that that's the right component. It was cool. It introduced the concept, but now we're starting to get to the Oculus Quest, and again, it's cool, but it's a little too heavy, right? It's still not exactly there. And when we get to that point where VR becomes very, very accessible, and like it's just it's something where you can see it, I think that accelerates the metaverse. But I think in passive, I think AR is not to be slept on. I think that people are going to see some cool things happen with the devices, just because the cameras and the capabilities for the processors in the phones, it's getting to a base level where it's going to be second nature to create like these very influential AR experiences. We saw a glimpse of what that could look like when Niantic created Pokemon Go, but even that was like 5 years ago. What the next version of that, the next evolution of that, will be even more mind-blowing, which is scary to think about, because Pokemon Go really captured and captivated the world at a time where you probably didn't think that it could get much cooler, right? You're like, oh wow, I can visit this virtual world on my phone. I think that like developers have been working on some things that are gonna make that feel like 2017. I also think, like, when we think about the metaverse and in how we continue to contribute, I think what we'll be able to do is, if you identify a certain way or you have certain values, similarly to how Web 2.0 allowed you to kind of get an algorithm that helped people think like how you think, and it just showed you that. So it kind of created this bias. I think you'll have algorithmic bias, but it won't be truly programmed. I think it will be more so you're going to go hang with the people you want to hang with. And if those people happen to be on, in Decentraland on a certain plot, well, that's just going to be your territory. And so I think it'll become territorial, just like the real world, except for you won't have necessarily the nation state borders and dividers that you have in like the real world. So I think that everything that we have will just become bigger. And, you take away that travel element, you're going to see ideas that you just would have never found, because not everybody can make it to New York. A kid from Ohio or Wisconsin might have a really great idea, but there's no way for them to truly commit that idea to society, because they are limited by capital access or just perspective. And so this will solve that.
I asked you about heroes because you were an adjunct professor at Draper University, right?
Yeah, I haven't heard that. I haven't described myself that way, but it's true. Yes, I do teach at Draper University once a quarter. Yeah.
Yeah, and he and I asked him the same question. How do you define a hero, and how can we create more heroes in this world? And I'm going to ask you the same thing.
How do you create heroes?
How can more people become heroes in this world right now, and build the economy going forward?
I think that it's interesting. So, I mean, when I teach at Draper, one of the things that we teach everybody is they're all there for a reason. And they also have to remember, they all have different strengths, different powers, different skills, different missions in life. And our missions or our goals in life can change too. But the most important thing is to recognize what you're good at and not get in your own way. That's probably the biggest challenge I think most entrepreneurs face, is not knowing where they're good and where they're weak. And one of the things we're spending most of our time teaching is the greatest hero is the one that delegates even the stuff where their pride or their ego gets in the way and says, you know what? I have a lot of like attachment to this thing. It's my baby. I want it to succeed. And what I tell every entrepreneur when they build a business, it's only yours until you tell the public, at which point it's no longer yours. And you'll have to accept that reality. And the reason I say that is because we can internalize that we believe what we're building is the most beautiful, amazing thing ever. But if we don't listen to what our communities and our clients and our customers tell us, then we're not likely to succeed because we're building what we want, not what they want. So to really become a true hero for me is letting, following your goal, your mission to create what you're trying to create. But the real hero becomes the leader who doesn't stand in the way of others on the team from success and who listens to their customers. And because of that, the more they give and the more that they're in service to others, the more that comes back, because the universe recognizes that. I know it sounds weird to say it like that, but the universe recognizes that because you're giving, you're helping others, and that reach to help others will come back because more people say, what an amazing hero. They've inspired me. And that becomes the inspirational side of it, is if you can actually do enough to help others by giving your business, not giving the business away as such, but giving what you can give to enable what people are asking for. If they get what they want, they'll keep coming. If you keep adjusting and listening to what they say as things change, as things keep moving, they'll keep coming. And the more they keep coming back and they keep bringing their friends and they're bringing their family and they're recommending you and to others, the more people look up to you like a hero or a leader, because they and I don't want to be revered as a leader, by the way, but that's the outcome of being an entrepreneur, is a successful one. People look up to you because they say, how did you achieve this? How did you do it? For me, it's not about that. It's how can I tell other people to do the same thing? And it's within all of us to have different skills. And it's whatever skill you've got, you can be the best you can be, but you have to allow that process. So yeah, I think even within a game like this, everybody can find a role to play and become a hero of their own. And even if it means a little bit of financial freedom and bringing a little bit of extra income home, that'll make them a hero in their own home. A little bit of extra money for the food, toys for the kids, an extra dinner with the wife or husband or partner. It makes no difference. It's always about how we can do a little bit of extra to help each other. So, yeah.
I do audio podcasts, right? Because I'm one of those guys that doesn't feel comfortable like being in front of the camera, right? For those people who don't feel comfortable being in front of the camera, knowing that we're moving toward, the Web3 and online and everything, what words of encouragement or advice would you give them, including me, to maybe get a headshot, and so especially those of us who don't feel that we're aesthetically pleasing as others?
Yeah, okay. So there's a couple things. One is you got to work with what you got. You didn't pick your parents. You fired up onto this planet looking the way you do because of them, and you had nothing to do with it. So get over it, and that's hard for people to take when I say that. But that's one thing. Second thing, you could do best with what you have. So finding the right side of your face, looking at your facial expression, seeing what you're conveying. Obviously, a lot of it has to do with the aging process, and some people feel like they're aging poorly or they're aging great. Some people are comfortable in front of the camera, some people aren't. But also, are you in shape? What kind of shape are you in your life? But I always tell people, like, you should have a favorite picture of yourself over the course of your life. And what is it? Like, if right now you thought in your brain, and I don't care if you're 7 years old in your father's arms or something, but whatever the picture is, I would say you gotta have a favorite picture of yourself. And then your significant people in your life want pictures of you and to see you. Like, if somebody changes their profile picture somewhere, it gets more likes than anything else they could even post. That's just the nature of it. People care more about their appearance than other people. Like the other people care about your appearance. You might be like, oh, you got to be kidding me. But that's what's going down. So I also like the Eleanor Roosevelt quote. It goes something like this. It goes, you're the oldest you've ever been and the youngest you'll ever be again. And I'm like, get that captured. Also, when people run out of burning buildings, you know what they grab? They grab pictures. I mean, this is history, You document it. It's a little morbid, but my pictures are used for obituaries all the time. And the way I look at it is I had the opportunity to capture that human being while they were on the planet, and that family or those people or whoever it was used it for that purpose. That's huge. And that's one of the reasons why I like to capture everybody that I can. And if I teach them how to look better when they're in front of cameras, I did something. So that's kind of my purpose. My purpose is really just to have people have a skip in their step from walking out, from being in front of my camera with the little knowledge that they're more attractive or better looking or feel better about their appearance because they've been with me, and that's what it's about.